Hello, my name is Laura Bunn, and I'm the Triangle Market President for First Horizon Bank. First Horizon Bank and First Horizon Foundation are honored to play a role in our community, and we look for partnerships with organizations that make an impact like the Kay Yow Foundation. We are grateful for the opportunity to be a part of the annual Kay Yow Run Walk celebration. Last year, we were excited to be a part of the in-person event and paint the tunnel pink for the survivors and their families. It was so touching to hear the stories of how the Kay Yow Foundation has impacted so many. My team and I felt a great sense of admiration for those touched by this organization, and I left last year's event knowing that we wanted to continue our partnership. In 2020, we shifted our giving strategy by increasing support to organizations directly impacted by COVID-19. And while we all know that that need is so great, we also know that cancer doesn't stop for COVID-19. That's why this year we are reinvesting in the Kay Yow Foundation. We are joining forces with UNC Health as the presenting sponsor of the 2021 Run Walk. My team and I wish that we could be with you in person for the Run Walk. However, in an effort to keep everyone safe, the First Horizon team will be walking and running virtually over the next month. I hope you will join us.
I'm running with my good friend Amy Daniels with Rex Healthcare Foundation to celebrate all those whose lives have been touched by the Kay Yow Foundation. At First Horizon, we're a proud sponsor this year along with UNC Health for the Celebration Run Walk.
This year's event is all virtual, but we hope to see you there. UNC Health is proud of our partnership with First Horizon Bank, and we can't wait for this year's event.
We are back for night 3 of our celebration run walk.
Yes,
I'm Jen Hoverstad, Director of Marketing and Engagement for the Kay Yow Cancer Fund, and I am joined by our CEO, Stephanie Glantz.
Hi, Jen.
Wednesday.
I know. Happy Wednesday. Time is flying this week, right? We've had such amazing shows and guests and inspiration and just heartfelt sharing. It's just been so wonderful. And tonight, we're excited about our next guest. So it's just great to be here, and it's great to be sharing this with you and with all the people out there watching.
Absolutely. And friends, we are watching the comments, whether you are joining us on Facebook or on YouTube. And we will also be taking your questions for our guest tonight. So make sure that you are using those comments. If you're here, let us know where you're watching us from, or maybe which team you're representing in the Celebration Run Walk. As we've been doing this week, we're starting out with a mission moment tonight. And last night we talked about the part of our mission where we serve women who are in underserved communities, or underserved women being those who are underinsured or not insured or face other disparities to healthcare. Tonight, we're giving you an example of that. Steph, tell us more about tonight's mission moment.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jen. So we have a great partnership with UNC Rex. We have funded 2 mobile mammography units at UNC Rex over a number of years. We actually just gave a recent grant to provide 3D imaging equipment in each of the mobile mam units. And UNC Rex has a wonderful program. They take those mobile mam units to multiple counties in central North Carolina. They offer mammograms to women who don't have insurance or don't have enough insurance. And then we've also funded what they have called the Angel Fund. And if a woman is diagnosed with cancer from one of the mobile mam units, for example, the Angel Fund will follow her all the way through her treatment and provide finances as needed in areas where maybe for drugs and medication, could be for transportation. And so we're really very pleased to be able to partner with UNC Rex in that way and to help so many women. And we have a great video to show you. And I think it will help everyone understand just how impactful these mobile mammography units are.
My name is Lenora Woods. I am 69 years old. I was diagnosed with breast cancer in January of 2010. At that point, I had not had a mammogram before. My husband had had a massive stroke, and I had been the caregiver for him and put my own health sort of on the back burner. My primary physician really insisted that I have it, and she made the appointment for me on the mobile unit.
The Kay Yow Cancer Foundation actually provided funding for us to have digital mammography equipment on both of our mobile units.
Coach Yow's mission for the Cancer Fund was really to help all women in their battle against cancer. She also had a heart for the underserved. She wanted us to be able to fund programs that really reached out to people that couldn't afford treatment.
A lot of my patients who come into established care have never had a screening mammogram. Couldn't think of getting a screening mammogram. The mobile mammography unit comes monthly to provide free mammograms.
Because we need to take care of our health, it's a great blessing to be able to get mammogram.
Before the funding from the Kay Yow Cancer Foundation, we were able to provide a little over 3,000 women a year with a screening mammogram. Now we are able to provide over 5,000 women. A lot of the counties that we do travel to are remote areas where mammography services would not exist.
The majority of the places we go to are clinical in nature, but we also go to corporate sites. As women, we tend to take care of a lot of people before we take care of ourselves, and we try to get rid of all excuses except for just finding us. Lenora is one of our patients that we did see on the mobile mammography unit several years ago.
I just thought I was going for a routine visit. It never entered my mind that it would be anything other than normal.
Lenora is a breast cancer survivor and doing very well.
Throughout of this, something positive has come. I have been able to connect other women with the mobile unit and other things relating to breast cancer.
Now, Lenora volunteers for the Rex Cancer Center and tries to teach others about the importance of early detection. And she's well known in the community as well.
I am the church secretary, and one of my favorite things to say is, I will live until I die. And I try to take full benefit of it. My family is so very supportive of me and everything that I do, and we have a good time. We enjoy it.
Early detection equals early treatment, and our patients, they're able to live, and I'm grateful for that, and then I know my patients are as well.
Mammography is not a revenue-producing modality. To have partnerships like the Kay Yow Cancer Fund, it's critical, and it keeps us on the road. Without them, we wouldn't survive.
A big thank you to our partnership with UNC Health. And we're going to be getting a tour of their new cancer center later in tonight's show. But right now, I am joined by Jessaca and Joe Giglio. Jessica is a cancer warrior and the sports editor at the News and Observer, and Joe is co-host of the OGs in the afternoons on our media sponsor this week at 99.9 The Fan. So Joe and Jessica, thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thanks for having us.
So Jessica, we're here because you're a cancer warrior, and I want you to tell your story, but what the reason that I specifically wanted the two of you on here is because you've chosen to be so public about your story, about what both of you have been through as a couple with cancer. So start us off, tell us more about your diagnosis and how you found your cancer.
Okay, I was diagnosed in October 2018, and I probably should have been diagnosed about a year earlier. I had had a mammogram in December of 2017 that was clean, but I also had dense breasts. And so I had something in there, but I wasn't sure. I could feel something.
You felt it. Yeah.
I could feel something. Yes, absolutely. But it wasn't like, you know, when you think of breast cancer, you think I'm going to feel a pea, I'm going to feel some kind of lump. And this didn't feel like that. It felt more like kind of a brick, Like I described it as a remote control almost. And so I didn't really think anything of it until I then my breast started changing. Like I could see it changing. And that's when I kind of started to panic. And I saw my gynecologist on a Monday and I was diagnosed on a Friday. But even in the process of those days, those mammograms and ultrasounds never showed my tumor. And my tumor was big. It was 6 centimeters. So, I could definitely feel it. It was in there, but it was hiding really well.
Wow. So what did the diagnosis turn out to be? Like what?
The diagnosis turned out to be, well, at first, I was staged at stage 3. I had 9 positive lymph nodes, but the January before I was diagnosed, the staging system had changed. And so I was estrogen positive, progesterone positive, and HER2 negative, which is what they call the good breast cancer. And so which is what—
There is such a thing.
Yes, that's what they told me. So my diagnosis, was a stage 3, but changed to be a stage 1B based on the new, kind of the new guidelines that had come out a few months earlier.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I laugh because, I think, and for cancer warriors who are watching right now, if you've ever gotten the phrase, like, you got the good kind of cancer,
right.
I think it's always humorous because certainly when you get a cancer diagnosis, you don't feel like it's any kind of good, regardless of what it is. So, Joe, when Jessica was diagnosed, what were the thoughts? And I don't know at what point in time you were brought into this process, but, tell us, like, when you first heard, okay, well, maybe it's cancer. And then when she got the confirmation that it was cancer, what was going through your mind as her spouse?
Well, Jessica has this weird way of knowing herself better than anybody else. Mm-hmm. And when she said there was something wrong with her breast, I mean, she was insistent because every test that came back was, it's just, what did they tell you originally?
It could have been radial scarring.
Radial scarring. And she's like, it's just so big. And, she would go, and the gynecologist had felt it and was like, immediate. She insisted. She was the one who insisted that she go and get further diagnosis. But you could tell along the way, people were hesitant. It's science, right? You don't go by feel, you go by what the tests tell you. Mm-hmm. And by the time, she had the biopsy.
Yeah, I had the biopsy in the middle of, going to see the gynecologist, obviously, and the diagnosis.
And that started an escapade of Fridays. We ended up at the doctor every Friday. Mm-hmm. And I was like, we're not going to the doctor on Friday because if something happens, they can't treat you. Right. And that's what happened actually the first Friday.
I was diagnosed at like 5 o'clock on
and
Friday.
they were going to send us home.
Yes.
Originally. And I was like, we're not going anywhere until we do everything we need to do. That way you can give us all the information that we need. And we were there at all the meetings. Who else was there? Was our neighbor, Sonia, who had been through the same treatment. So she's mentioning these different types of cancers. And I can tell you what NC State did in the NCAA tournament in 2004 or 5, but I can't tell you anything about cancer, right? No. So it was tremendous to have somebody who had been through that specifically and could help kind of explain it in English to us.
Mm-hmm.
So some of the things that you're saying right now, and I'm sure I even see this, one of our honorary co-chairs is joining us in the audience. She's saying, always, always advocate for yourself. You know your body best. And
absolutely.
You're preaching that right now. And also, Joe, something that you touched on is just the importance for people who have a family member or a friend who is diagnosed with cancer. If they don't have extra ears listening for them, like offer to be those ears, whether it's just taking notes down when you hear a doctor talk for them or helping them think of questions to ask their team.
Questions to ask.
Yeah, Sonia, my friend Sonia was in the room with me when I was diagnosed and I was, I was so upset. And again, I knew nothing about cancer. I knew absolutely nothing. And so I just kind of looked at her and said, and she just took off asking the questions and writing things down. And, she was great that day.
That's awesome. That's so important. And Jessica, you chose to share your treatment publicly from the beginning. So tell us more about what your treatment plan was and what prompted you to be public about it.
I think it started because when I was diagnosed, I was so overwhelmed by it that I didn't know how to let people know. And so I said, I'll just post something on Facebook just so people know what's going on, and I don't have to deal with calling a bunch of people or talking about it. And so I did that. But I also had, within Facebook, my Facebook community, I knew a lot of people who had been through breast cancer. And so it kind of became an outlet for me to reach out to them. And then, me as somebody who is, does words for a living, it made me feel better to write it down. And then as I was writing things down, like every moment I said, okay, well, this could be a good Facebook post. I would write it. I would include photos in it. And I would hope that I was helping somebody else. Because, like we were saying before, if I had Sonia, I had all my friends on Facebook who had been through cancer. And without that support system, I would have been lost. And so I was hoping that I could be that for other people and kind of show other people, okay, so this is what I'm going through. This is real. There's nothing to hide here. I mean, I'm bald, I'm miserable, I'm sick, but why hide that when it can help somebody else?
I'm curious, did you ever get any feedback from other women when you did choose to share those moments?
Absolutely. I did. I got a lot of positive feedback. And since then, unfortunately, I've had other friends who have been diagnosed with breast cancer who have been able to come to me and, and I've been able to help them and talk to them, and just be supportive, because, being supportive is huge, having support and being supportive, and, to kind of pay it forward for all the people who did that for me.
Absolutely. And, while we've talked about the two of you and getting help from your neighbor and your friends and the public, there are also two additional people that you live with. Joe, y'all have two boys at home, and many people aren't sure how to talk to their kids about a diagnosis with one of their parents. So how did y'all talk to your sons about Jessica's diagnosis?
Well, that's another area where Sonia came in as a great example. And I always say we were lucky. You can't be lucky when something bad happens, but we were tremendously lucky to have Sonia, because not only did she go through the same diagnosis, but the treatment, and she was also thriving. She was surviving. So I could say to the kids, look, mom, this is what mom has, but this is what Sonia went through. She's going to go through a very similar treatment. She's going to lose her hair. She's going to look a little bit different, but look where Sonia is now. That's where mom's going to be in, a year. So I think that was tangible, because you're right. You hear the word cancer and you think the worst. That's what you think.
Yeah.
And
our kids were 10 and 13 when that happened. And our youngest had a really hard time with it, especially the physical changes that I went through. He didn't want to see me bald, but then once Joe shaved my head, he was like, oh, that looks kind of cool. Things like that. So it was just kind of baby steps with them almost, but it was hard, definitely.
Yeah, I think that's something that's interesting. A lot of my kids were 1 and 3 when I was diagnosed. And while people assume because they're younger, it might be harder, I actually think it's the age that your boys were, because they know so much more, right? Like I shaved my head and my kids thought I looked like a pirate, which was super cool at the time. And so, I won the 3-year-old's approval by losing my hair, but not only are you handling your own emotions at the ages your kids were and are, you're also handling your own, which can be tough.
Right. Absolutely.
So you've talked about Sonia, who sounds like a superhero. We probably should have invited, more of Sonia and her family to come on here as well too. But what are some of the ways that your community has supported you, Jessica, throughout this journey, and maybe even post-cancer as well?
Well, I think it started when I was diagnosed, like I said, like a lot of people jumped in to support me, a lot of women who had been through this, but also friends of mine who I hadn't seen in a while, who I hadn't really talked to. They all rallied around me, and it got to the point where, I had 16 rounds of chemo, and I had to keep a schedule of who was coming with me on what day, because so many people were so supportive. And when I had my last radiation, I did 34 rounds of radiation. A group of maybe 15 people came into the radiation room with me, and we all threw confetti and we celebrated. And, and so I've really always remembered that. And so I know, going through that was hard, but they were so supportive and so helpful that it's strange to say, but they almost made chemo days fun, that support has continued since then. On any given day, I can text Sonia and say, hey, I'm feeling this. She'll text me back, and I have other friends who can text, who I text and say, I'm really upset tonight. I'm thinking about cancer, or, hey, do you want to, now it's hard with COVID, but, do you want to sit outside by the fire and chat, so it's been really good, because it's the other thing is it's taught me that it's okay to reach out to people and ask for help, and that you'll always have people there to support you.
Yes, for sure. And Joe, I personally think that support people have the more difficult job. Like a cancer patient gets the checklist, and a support person is kind of left to figure out, how the person feels when they wake up every morning and make sure they're getting to all the appointments and everything. What advice would you offer to spouses or partners, other family members who find themselves in your shoes?
Well, it's just to accept what you can't do. You can't be the doctor. You can't administer the chemo treatment. You can't make her better. But what you can do is do all the other things that might make her feel better. Just even with your kids around the house. Jessica forever was in charge of the financial, the checkbook. So I had to take over the checkbook and brush off my math skills and pay the energy bill and all those other things. So that might be a little thing, right? Mm-hmm. Now I always cooked, but she wasn't interested in eating all that much of anything. And she didn't want to ruin foods either. She figured that out pretty quickly. Once she had, mashed potatoes or broccoli or something. Yeah, she had something early. And she's like, oh no. And even to this day now, she's like, I'm not going to eat that.
Salmon, mashed potatoes, and broccoli, they're off the list.
I always say, Jen, going back just a half a step, it's a terrible price to pay, the admission, but the club of being in the cancer community it's a wonderful human experience, because at an elemental level, you realize other people are going through the same thing that you're going through, and they want to help you.
Yes.
And it's never really what you ask for. Hayes Parmar at 99.9 The Fan with me, his mom is a cancer survivor. Mm-hmm. He came to me pretty early in the process and he said, hey, can I help? How can I help? What can I do? Can I pick up your kid from school? And he did. He never met James before. I had to text him a picture of James and then text James a picture of Hayes. And I said, in this instance, it's okay to get into this stranger's white truck. So it's acts like that where you wouldn't even think about that.
Yes.
But once you're in that environment, in that community, you start to learn how to pay it forward for people. My friend Aaron Beard, very beginning, Jessica's diagnosis, hey, I want to pay for a maid to come and clean your house. I never would have thought of something like that, so little kind of things like that, going to the grocery store, picking up stuff, cutting the lawn. Our neighbor would cut the lawn every once in a while. You don't realize how many people out there want to help you, because we're all so self-sufficient and we all want to do things on our own. But it's truly when you let that barrier down that you realize what we all mean to each other.
Mm-hmm. And along those same lines too, it's, the first time I ever went into the cancer center over at Rex, I sat in there and I was like, I don't belong here. You kind of look around and everybody's sick. And then you become part of that community. And there's a comfort in going to the cancer center.
Everyone who works there, all the nurses,
fantastic.
all the doctors, they're unbelievable how they know.
And you immediately have a connection with all the patients because you all have something in common. You're all there because you have cancer. And so even this past week, I went to the cancer center on Monday, and there's almost like a sense of comfort in being there and being around the people who you don't know these people, but you have an immediate connection with them.
It's the opposite of an 8th grade dance, Jen. You're there. Everybody wants to talk. Everybody's got nobody's shy when it comes to the chemo ward.
So true. I literally, I think back. I mean, I legitimately met who is now my best friend in chemotherapy because we sat beside each other in the infusion room. But I do think back to those people I sat beside and got to know so well. And it is an endearing part of the cancer journey. Now, I do want to bring in a couple of questions. Rob on YouTube is asking, he says, you both do sports for a living. So how has that background and the team aspect helped in attacking your diagnosis?
Well, I think, for a long time, Joe and I have considered, along with our kids, considered ourselves a team. We even for a long time have called ourselves Team Giglio. But I think this really kind of has.
My parents live in our neighborhood. We're at their house right now.
And
my sister and her husband. So it's been, I'll tell you this in terms of how I think of it as a team. And one thing I always told Jessica, even from the beginning when she was diagnosed, all you can do is figure out what we can do today. Right? You can't, it's 16 chemo treatments. You can't think about 16 chemo treatments. You have to think about the one that's next. 33, I might have the radiation number. 34 radiation. You can't sit here and go, oh man, I can't do 34. Like a team, you hear the coach one game at a time. You can only win, as Stephanie would tell you, every day of the week. You can worry about Carolina, but you better beat Clemson before you play Carolina.
Right.
So you have to worry about what's in front of you, and that's the only thing you can worry about.
Right.
That's a survivor mode that we would get into.
Right.
As a team. Right. Hey, what do we have to do today? Where are you going today? What is the job today? Because that's the only thing you can do.
And a big thing in basketball is, next play. So as soon as you get done with that treatment, you cross it off and then you start moving forward to the next one, recovering from that one and then going on.
Absolutely. And it looks like we have members of your team. Alan is saying he's on Team Giglio. So happy to have him here. Thank you, Alan. You mentioned this about the food and what foods you won't eat now. And I can relate to that. I had so many smoothies during chemo. Smoothies, fortunately, they don't make me gag anymore, but it's taken me a long time to get there. So I understand what you're saying. I am curious, post-cancer, one, kind of give us an update on your health, but are there other things like that you have found? Jessica 2.0 is, has left in the past, either with cancer or pre-cancer.
I think I had really crazy anxiety before cancer. And I think since then I have really been able to calm down and be in the moment and realize that the little things in life don't matter. I need to advocate for myself. I need to stick up for myself. If I don't feel good, I need to tell people that. I don't need to just kind of plow ahead and just go all the time to make everybody in the world happy, because that doesn't make me happy. So I think, just kind of taking care of myself, which I've never done before. I've always put everybody first, everybody around me first. So I think that just kind of realizing that, okay, well, one day at a time, I'm going to wake up. What am I going to do that's fun today? I'm going to force myself to do something that's fun and that's not, sitting in front of a computer. I love my job. I do. And I love the people I work with. But, sometimes you got to say goodnight and move on and do something for yourself. And so I think more of that, the better.
Absolutely. Well, Joe and Jessica, thank you both so much for coming on and sharing your story tonight. We really appreciate it. And I have no doubt it has inspired someone watching.
Oh, Thanks for having us.
All right, friends, as Jessica mentioned, she when she went into UNC Health to the Cancer Center there at Rex, there is just a feeling of family and camaraderie, and very exciting news. The Cancer Center, if you haven't seen it, is being rebuilt across the street from Rex Hospital, and we are going to show you a look at the new Cancer Center. So join me on this tour.
We're excited as we move into the future that UNC Rex Cancer Care is expanding in Wake County with a new building that is going to be the location where expert care is going to align with what we've always known to have been the best people providing the best care, and we're excited about having one of the best facilities. Cancer impacts the whole person, the whole family, and we want a building that when you walk in, you have the opportunity to feel not only like you're at home, but you're going to receive the best care possible. In the building that we're in today, which was opened in 1987, a lot of patients and family members have crossed through that door. And a lot of people say, don't lose that homey feeling in this new building. And our goal, even though we're going from 50,000 square feet to 130,000 square feet, is that when people walk into this building, they are going to experience the compassion and comfort that they've come to know to be UNC Rex Cancer Care. As we look at the guiding principles, we wanted to make sure that individuals felt comfortable and in control of their environment. Cancer, if it does nothing else, when you're first diagnosed, makes you feel like you've lost all control. If we can give even the smallest amount of control to our patients, with the ability to change the lighting in their infusion bay, choose where they want to sit depending on the waiting area that they're in, and really know that we're going to take into account what makes them feel comfortable. That was an important part of all of the design of our building. The other guiding principles were absolutely focused on moving UNC healthcare and oncology care in Wake County into the future. A building that could grow, expand, be flexible, but really focus on the efficiencies of how do we provide oncology care and how can we prepare for it to be completely different 10 years from now, in fact, if it is.
Wow. Amy, thank you so much for allowing us to share that tour of the new Rex Cancer Center. Friends, if you haven't met Amy Daniels, Amy is on our run committee for the Celebration Run Walk this week, and she also is an employee at UNC Health and just a great partner to the Kay Yow Cancer Fund. Amy, I'm really interested to know, what is your favorite part of the new Cancer Center?
Well, hi, ladies. What a building. Honestly, there are so many great things that have been cultivated and talked about and incorporated into the new building. I'd say some of my favorite highlights are our quality of life space that really is an area where anyone from first walking through the door to someone who has been to 34 treatments, it's a space for them. It's a space to make sure that not only are they surviving, but they're thriving. They have that survivorship piece. They have meeting space. They have artwork on the walls. They have garden spaces. There's just so much for our patients that will be present in this building. It's very exciting.
That's so awesome, Amy. Thank you so much for being here with us. And we wanted to talk to you just a little bit about our partnership. So between UNC Health and the Kay Yow Cancer Fund, and really this partnership started in 2011. So that was the first time the Kay Yow Cancer Fund gave a grant for the mobile mammography units at UNC Rex. And then we've continued to be in partnership. And I just wanted to ask you about that time, because I actually was on the board of directors at the time. And I remember you all coming to the board meeting, making a presentation. And it was, of course, like a unanimous, of course, we need to fund the mobile mammography units at Rex. And so just sort of take us back to that time and your thoughts originally. I've heard you talk about this, your thoughts originally about going to the Kay Yow Cancer Fund and maybe even having Coach Yow on the side of the coach. I know there were some conversations around that. So take us back to that.
So we love our partnership. Steph, you're exactly right. I can think back to coming to Greensboro to the board meeting, and guess what we brought with us? Our old mobile MAM unit. And we pulled that thing right into the parking lot, and we said,
yes, you did.
Present and ask you about this, but before we do that, could we all go out and take a look at the unit? And the entire board kind of traipsed out, and we walked through. You know, it was like, ta-da, this is what we want to upgrade. We're already doing this great service through UNC Rex, but we needed help to take it to the next level, make sure that we had all of the right technology. The poor bus kept breaking down. You know, it was time. And you all wholeheartedly jumped in and said, we love it. We want to do it. So as we started talking about what can this bus look like, if we're going to take it over 16, 18 counties in Central North Carolina, who could maybe be on the side? Let's think of how we can focus on Coach Yow and her wonderful words of wisdom. There were so many great quotes that we talked about. So it was so fun to put it together, our whole team. And, you know, I represent the Rex Healthcare Foundation. So we really were the funding piece, and we worked with our clinical teams to make sure we had all that we needed. And you guys were just the ones to say we're in, and we want to put the right equipment. That was really the first grant, was getting the equipment for the bus. And we have just soared from there.
That's so great, Amy. It's just so great to kind of go back and reminisce, and then to just think about all of the years of impact that the mobile MAM units have made in the state of North Carolina, and how many lives have been touched and impacted and saved through the 2 mobile mammography units at UNC Rex. So thank you to you and your team. And the mobile team is awesome. You know, we've talked to them many times and gotten to know them. And we're just grateful to be able to be a part of what you all are doing. And we appreciate you greatly. We appreciate this partnership.
We love you all. We can't do it without you. Thousands and thousands of women have gotten early detection screenings. So many of them have gone home with nothing, thank goodness. But when we do find someone who needs that next step, what we love is that your partnership and the Rex family just scoops them up and makes sure that they go directly through all the steps that they need. Like you said, the Angel Fund can step in once they're into treatment, and we can just make sure that nothing is dropped, and that we are treating the whole person and their family, and making sure that we are providing them the best service and compassionate care possible. And honestly, you all are such a huge part. We love our partnership. We love what you all are doing this week. It has been so fun. So thank you for everything.
That's awesome, Amy. Thank you for everything. Thank you and your team.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to see that cancer center building completed. It's going
amazing.
To amazing. All right, friends, we have one more interview for you tonight. If you joined us on Monday, you got to see Scotty McCreery sing 5 more minutes and dedicate that song to Coach Yow. Well, we got to have 5 more minutes with Scotty, and we had a chance to talk with him more about his relationship with the Kay Yow Cancer Fund. But Steph, for friends who didn't join us on Monday and didn't get to hear about that special relationship between Scotty and the fund, tell us a little bit more.
Oh, would love to. So as you know, Jen, and others are getting ready to see, our interview and our conversations with Scotty have just been really amazing. He's such a genuine, just great guy, such great character. And he really cares for other people. And so listening to him talk about how he looked at Coach Yow, how he viewed her, some of the characteristics that he noticed about Coach Yow and her battle with cancer, and how she was on the sidelines. And I mean, Scotty goes back to, he performed at one of the Play for K games at NC State. He's been directly involved in our movement nationally. And then for him to provide the wonderful song that he did earlier this week, and the interview as well, has just been just very gracious of him. And we've truly enjoyed getting to know Scotty a little bit more and a little bit more in depth. And the great thing is, Scotty is going to partner with us moving forward. So with that, let's let everybody share in this great interview we had with them. We're so excited to be able to talk with you, Scotty. So thanks for joining us.
Well, thank y'all for having me. Absolutely. It's a pleasure.
Scotty, you know, as we were talking before we went live, obviously, I think anytime NC State comes up, certainly your name is involved somehow because we all know you are world's biggest Wolfpack fan. And you played a very special role in the 2012 Play for Kay game where you came and sang to our Cancer Warriors. Tell us, what was that like to be part of that event?
Oh, it was amazing. I mean, that was, I think when I was doing sound check there and I was in Reynolds Coliseum, I was thinking about how awesome it was going to be there on such an important day to Play for Kay game. But I really didn't have any idea until the game started and I saw there wasn't a seat that was empty in all of Reynolds and all the survivors that came down on the court getting to sing Love You This Big. That was a really cool moment for me and a special day, obviously, for NC State and the Kay Yow Fund and just survivors and research and everything. So I was honored to be a part of that.
So Scotty, you say that so well and so eloquently. And when you're saying it, I'm thinking about Coach Yow. And the reason that she started the Kay Yow Cancer Fund, at the core and the very center of it was to always lift up and encourage survivors. And that's what you did that day. And so I just would want to ask you, when you were growing up and you were such an NC State fan, what were your impressions of Kay Yow and what do you remember about her?
I think the main thing when you're watching Coach Yow, as we all did as State fans and watching the women's basketball program, I think the fighting spirit of Coach Yow is really what you notice most, whether it's about her coaching and how she can rally the team around her, or just how inspiring she was while she was fighting cancer and the hope she gave to everybody else that, one day there will be a cure and we're going to keep fighting. We're going to keep researching and the Kay Yow Cancer Fund is doing an amazing job of helping that along. So I think the main thing you see is just her fighting spirit and her teams. If you always know a good coach by watching their teams and how they react and how they play. And her teams definitely resemble that fighting spirit.
So true, Scotty. Absolutely.
It is. And we're very fortunate that this week, our Celebration Run Walk event, we're being able to feature many of those former players that you mentioned and talk about their continued fighting spirit in life. But you kicked off our event this week with a special song. You sang 5 more minutes as part of our Monday programming. And, you were the one who suggested 5 more minutes for this celebration week. And you wanted to dedicate that to Coach Yow. What made you choose 5 more minutes for this event?
Yeah, 5 more minutes for me it's a special song for me and my family. I wrote it for my grandfather Bill and just what he meant to me and all that he taught me through life. It's every day, I'm wishing that I could spend just 5 more minutes to have one more conversation with him. And I think Coach Yow, I think we all would love to just have a few more minutes with her, talk to her, get her thoughts on, the world today and just kind of where we're at and talk to her to get some inspiration, some hope. And so that's kind of what I was thinking of when we chose this song. And so I think Coach Yow, one of the beautiful things though, is with this Kay Yow Cancer Fund, we can still think about her every day and her legacy is continuing forward in such an amazing way. So, when I'm thinking of the song, I'm thinking of people that really made an impact, like my granddaddy did on me and like Coach Yow did on so many other people.
Oh, that's so awesome. Yeah, it's so awesome, Scotty. So I just got to tell you this. I was so happy to hear that, well, first of all, that you were going to join us, but that you were going to devote that song to Coach Yow, because one of the very first things that I thought the day she passed away was, how will I be able to remember and recall everything that she had taught us? And it was amazing, and you just kind of wish you had 5 more minutes. And so it's such a meaningful and special song. And thank you so much for your comments. And thank you so much for dedicating it to Coach Yow. And I just would like to close by asking you, for all the cancer survivors, the cancer warriors that are listening today, what words of encouragement would you have for them?
Yeah, well, I would just say keep fighting. The Lord doesn't put anything in your place that you can't handle through Him. So we're all on your side. We're all fighting there with you, right alongside of you. And through great things like the Kay Yow Cancer Fund, we're going to keep researching until we find that cure and cancer is no more. So keep fighting. We're in this fight together. And we're just sending all our love to them.
Awesome. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Scotty.
Absolutely. Well, thank y'all for having me, and I appreciate all the great work y'all do at the Kay Yow Cancer Fund, and also go Pack. The women are having a great year this year.
Yes, they are. Absolutely. And Scotty, congratulations to you and all your successes, and thank you for being the person that you are, the character that you have, and setting a great example for others. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Absolutely.
We are so grateful to Scotty for spending time with us this week, for playing that acoustic 5 more minutes on Monday and that interview tonight. But you know what? The week is not over. We're halfway through.
I know, Jen. I know. So tomorrow night, we have another exciting lineup. And Joe and Jessica, so great. That was such a great time of sharing and just, so transparent and just so helpful. A lot of lessons. It was just amazing. So thank you, Joe and Jessica. Coming up tomorrow, we have a very special mission moment from the head coach at the University of Oklahoma, Sherry Cole. And Sherry Cole has been involved with the Kay Yow Cancer Fund since its inception. And she will share those moments with Coach Yow, talking with her about her vision for the fund. She'll share that with us tomorrow. And then we have Jeff Gravely. So many people know Jeff Gravely. He's kind of a local hero. And his wife, Mary, who is a cancer warrior, both very involved with the Kay Yow Cancer Fund, great supporters. And we just are so excited to have Jeff hosting a number of Kay Yow's former players, doing a live interview, as well as a recent player at NC State who didn't play for Kay, but she played in the Play 4K game, and that's Ace Koenig. And so we are excited for that lineup tomorrow night. We're really looking forward to it. We're going to hear some great stories about what it was like to play for Coach Yow and what it's like to play in a Play 4K game, which is our national movement. It's our largest fundraiser under the Kay Yow Cancer Fund. So we will look forward to that lineup tomorrow.
That's right. And then on Friday, we are having lunch with Shannon Miller, and we invite you to join us. Friday at 1 p.m., we will have a private Zoom with Shannon where we will be talking to her not only about the incredible accolades that she has received for being a 7-time Olympic medalist, but also talking with her about her journey with ovarian cancer that she experienced. I believe it was 2010, 2011. So she is very candid and open about her cancer journey. And so whether you're interested in talking to her about gymnastics or asking her about her battle with cancer, we would love for you to join us on that Zoom. You can see their email, sarah@kayyow.com, and Sarah will make sure that you receive that Zoom link for Friday. Seats are limited, so go ahead and shoot Sarah that email tonight. But we are excited to see Shannon on Friday, also a great friend of the fund.
Absolutely.
And with that, we are going to thank our other friends of the fund that have helped us make the celebration run walk possible. And friends, just as Steph said, we will be back here tomorrow night at 8 p.m. We will see you then.
It's 2021. Lane & Associates Family Dentistry is excited to continue what we've been doing for over 40 years.
It's our mission to provide a safe and caring environment for all of your dental needs.
With multiple locations across North Carolina, we look forward to seeing you in one of our offices soon.
At Lane & Associates Family Dentistry, we love to make you
smile. 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 Smile.
We love to make you smile. At Lane & Associates Family Dentistry, we consider ourselves privileged to be mission partners with the Kay Yow Foundation to help fight and defeat women's cancer. We have many, many patients and many, many staff members who've had to battle this horrible disease with their families, with themselves, and we consider it an honor to be able to help support all these people.
The 2021 Kay Yow Cancer Fund Celebration Run Walk is made possible by the following corporate partners: